All right. Welcome to Our Scars Speak. My name is Christina Miner. I am the host of this podcast. And before we begin, I want to make for sure that everyone knows that we're just giving a disclaimer that we are not suggesting any type of medical treatment or mental health treatment. We're just merely here sharing our story, sharing what we have gone through, and just giving that information to you. But we are not claiming to be medical professionals or give you suggestions about your treatment plan. Make for sure you adhere to what you're doing with your doctors and your specialist. So since we've covered the disclaimer, now I want to go into tonight. Our guest is Tonja Ancrum, and I'm so excited to have her. Tonja has been an intricate part with my journey with breast cancer. Actually, she's one of the first people that I told my symptoms to, and she was like, you got to go get it checked. She invited me to go to a conference. And she just really started educating me and taking me under her wings like her little sister. And I just love her so much because she really heard me and she was leading me and guiding me and just mentoring me. She's a great advocate. But okay, I'm going to let her talk about herself, but I just have to give her an accolade. So thanks for coming and joining us tonight, Tonja.
But thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on Our Scars Speak, because our scars do speak. Yes. So again, I thank you for that. Just to tell you a little bit about who Tonja is.
Yes, because we got to know who you are without the titles. Who is Tonja?
Yes, so I am a dedicated public servant. What I do is, and I love what I do. I don't call my job a job. It's a passion. So it's a career. And what I do is I help individuals, whether they're employees or applicants, with equal employment opportunities, civil rights, and diversity and inclusion efforts. Okay. The other things that I do outside of work, I'm an author, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm a minister. I love the Lord with all my heart, my mind, and my soul. I am a patient advocate, as you mentioned earlier. And I have to say, I'm a retired Army Master Sergeant. Yes. So yes, indeed, I did 20 years plus, and I'm a Gulf War veteran. Which kind of plays into what we're going to talk about tonight. I am an encourager and an inspirer. I love to live, laugh, and love and inspire people, as you just stated earlier. I am a wife, I am a mother, and oh, what a joy to be a grandmother. I have two heart stealers that keep me smiling each and every day. And also, as far as my education is concerned, I hold a master's degree in human resources administration. I also have a degree, and that's from Central Michigan. Okay. I also have a degree from Liberty University in theology. So God is really. And one thing about hobbies, I really don't have any specific hobbies, but I can say that I love to learn. I'm a lifelong learner, so I'm always reading, researching, and things of that nature. Maybe that's why I'm good at what I do at work.
Yeah. So you have a heart for people, for sure.
Yes, ma'am, I do. And then some of the things that I'm involved in, other than just talking about what Tonja, the person is, Tonja is a lot. Like you said, I'm so involved. Some people I can say, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I got to do this. And they're like, oh my God, you're making me tired just by what you're saying. All the stuff that you have going on. But I am a breast health research champion. I received my training from Virginia Commonwealth University, Massey Cancer Center. And I'll tell you a little bit about those 4 core values in just a moment. Also with the Virginia Commonwealth University Hospital, I'm a patient advocate, not just for breast cancer, but also working with a research team on endometrial cancer. There is a group that I'm partnering with. It's called ECANA, ANA. That means Endometrial Cancer Action Network for African Americans. And so that is something that I've been involved in as well. On the breast health research champion, there's 4 cores. One is finding breast cancer early saves lives. Get screened. Something that I shared with you and many others. It is so important to get screened. And oftentimes our African American counterparts, our sisters, they don't want to do it. Why? Because of Loretta Lacks, the Tuskegee Institute, just different things. And they're like, oh my God, if I do it, get a mammogram, I don't want to hear I have the big C. Well, let me tell you, the big C is not cancer. The big C is Jesus Christ. the little c, the thing that's under
Mhm.
your footstool, that's what cancer is. At least that's what it is to me.
Right.
And second of all, the next core is today's treatment is yesterday's clinical trials. Now, first and foremost, I give God the glory for me still walking on this earth because obviously I have purpose. But I
Right.
will say somebody who went through a clinical trial ultimately how I ended up with my treatment.
Right.
And with that treatment, although it was so strong and it took my hair out, it still caused me to still, it played a part in me still
Right.
being here today. And I'll
Right.
tell you a little bit about what that
Yeah.
combination was a little bit later. The third one is called tomorrow's treatment comes from the biological specimen donations. And I think
Mhm.
that's important. I am currently involved in the Detroit Rocks research study. Rocks meaning research on cancer survivors, right?
Mhm.
And they've been doing this with me since 2018 because 2018 dictates the third time I had breast cancer, right? And so what they do is they're trying to find a cure.
Mhm.
They're fighting this thing. They're trying to find better treatment, just like whoever did that clinical trial
Right.
prior to me ever getting diagnosed, So I think that's important. And then the fourth one is you and me,
Mhm.
you can help find a cure for cancer. And I say that because of getting involved in some of these other cores, being a specimen donation or
Mhm.
being part of a clinical trial, that very thing that we do today might be the result of somebody else living a little bit longer on
Right.
tomorrow.
So before we get any further into other things that you're doing, because that's all dynamic, and I know you do a lot of things because you've helped me even with some of my events with gathering material and everything. I want to know when we come up here, we definitely talk about like, because so many times we go on interviews, they talk about from the time that we found out we had breast cancer versus like we had a whole life before breast cancer. So before we get into your breast cancer journey at the height and even finding out about discovering a lump or however you discovered it, what was life like for you before you even found or knew that you had breast cancer?
Sure. So life before breast cancer, life was fancy free. I was I was a soldier,
Okay.
was a new mother, and I didn't really have a care in the world. Now, being laid on bills, 25, 24 years old, laid
Yeah.
on bills, things like that. But I really didn't have much of a care. And I did go every year for my annual checkups, women wellness, and things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature. Right? And so then the next thing you know, in 1990, I had to go to the Gulf War. And
Mm.
as we all know, Saddam Hussein gassed his people. He did a number of things. But while we
Mhm.
were there in the theater, he also burnt the oil fields.
Mhm.
So burning the oil field causes for what? All kinds of black smoke, cancer causing agents and toxins that are in the air. In
Right.
fact, one day walked out of my tent and I'm like, what? Is that grass? Oh, grass. Well, that all of that was the after effects from these cancer causing agents, all the toxins, the chemicals and
Wow.
things when he burned the oil fields, right? So with that being said, a number of things that the body goes through when you're in a foreign country,
Mhm.
you might not have a bowel movement,
Mm.
not just a few days, but it might be a few weeks, might be a
Right.
month. Can't think of the terminology of it, but things like that. There was a time, and I'm just being not graphic, but as a female, we
No,
have
that's
a
fine.
menstrual cycle. Didn't have one. So while over there, I was like, okay, I'm in the desert, I'm in the war, so can't be pregnancy.
Right.
So what's
Right.
going on around here, right? So what they did is they gave me estrogen replacement therapy. So prior to coming back home, being redeployed back, I had ERT. And so a mixture of that, all of this estrogen, plus the cancer causing toxins in the air, about 2 years after I returned from the Gulf War, I was running PT one day. And I'm a
Mhm.
runner. I would be a road guard and
Can
singing
I stop
cadence and
you
all of that good
one
stuff.
second? Because I'm curious. Okay, so you said the ERT, is that something that the military gave you all to stop your cycle? Okay, and
Well,
the reason why I
no, not
stopped
to
you,
stop it, not to stop it. I wasn't having one.
so it's
And
to get it going.
It was to, and it was to
Okay.
get it
Okay.
going. But by the time they realized perhaps I needed that, it was almost time to leave the war. The
Okay.
the 100-hour war had happened, and we was getting ready to make our way back home.
Okay.
So when I returned back to the United States, and we were running PT, physical
Hmm.
training, running anywhere from 2 to 4 miles. I don't miss those days. But anyway, running PT at 29, I was beginning to be tired. So I said
Oh,
to myself, Self, either you pregnant or you getting too old for this. Now, really, too old at 29 in the army?
right.
No, it had to be something else. I just couldn't figure it out. So we were getting ready to go to a field training exercise, and I always like to get checked out because we sleeping in tents and
Right.
things like that. And so when I went to the doctor that day, he had already done the
Hmm.
checkup, the breast the clinical breast exam and
Right.
things of that nature. But this day when I went, he was like, and he checked me, he was like, something ain't right. Something don't feel right.
Mm.
And he sent me, I was in Savannah, Georgia. He sent me to Fort Stewart. So that
Okay.
day I went, it was around Thanksgiving time frame in 1993. And it was like the day or so before the Thanksgiving weekend, and we
Wow.
usually get a 4-day weekend. So
Right.
anyway, I went to the doctor at Fort Stewart, and the surgeon was already operating on someone. So his physician assistant aspirated it. So what does that mean? He took a needle to draw fluid from the tumor.
Hmm.
And if the tumor was going to look suspicious, where it could possibly be cancerous or whatever, they was going to take it out that day, no delay. So he
Wow.
aspirated it, um, shared it with the surgeon once the surgeon came out of surgery, and immediately he said, "Oh no, we need to take that out today." So
Wow.
of course I had to call my husband to come down and meet me at Fort Stewart. I
Um,
went ahead and had the surgery. They removed it. And
mhm.
that day when I woke up from recovery, he said, Miss, well, my name was different at the time, but Miss
Yeah.
Deans,
Uh-huh.
the lump that you have, it's 80% chance that it's cancerous. And we would have the reports, the results back, say that Monday. So of course I go home and I'm like, okay, 80% chance cancer. And I'm pretty intelligent. I said,
Right.
well, Lord, I didn't say, Lord, why me? Because why not me? But one thing I ask him, which I know, and I know it don't work that way. Oh, Lord, I hope this 20% outweigh the 80 and it's not cancer.
Yeah. Right.
So, but what I did do, because I told you I'm a lifelong learner,
Right.
I studied to learn about the different terminology of
Hmm.
cancer, whether it's going to be lumpectomy, mastectomy, whatever the case. I just, got myself smart on a lot of those terms. So when he spoke with me on Monday, I wouldn't be lost in the
Hmm.
sauce and just,
Right.
okay, go with whatever he says. So that Monday, he stated those dreadful words, you
Hmm.
have cancer.
Mm.
And the next thing was, okay, now we got to talk about what's next. He mentioned mastectomy. I said, okay, I knew what that was. No, I
Right.
was 29,
Right.
29 and fine. So I was like, oh no. And then the next thing was he talked about a lumpectomy with a
Hmm.
wide local excision. And what that means is it's going in with a wide excision to take out a number of lymph
Lymph
nodes.
nodes. Hmm.
And that's important to take
Right.
out the lymph nodes because they could see if this cancer had metastasized, which means moved to other parts of the body, right? So, and then
Back
the other
then, though,
thing,
I'm sorry, because I know
it's
time has
okay.
changed. Because even hearing your story, I'm like, gosh, things have changed. Because like you say, an aspirate the same day, which I know military do things different too, but aspirating the same day because they usually try to get y'all back out to go to work. So they move kind of quick. But and then you talk about like they took the tumor out right then. That's really, really quick. Because for us now, it's like you go through all these testing, then you get the biopsy versus the aspiration in most cases. But you had a whole different situation. And when you had the lymph nodes taken out, did they do, because I know so many years ago they didn't do sentinel, they did the other one, the one
Correct.
where they took out more, the dissection, right? where they took out more of the lymph nodes. Which one did they do for you? And I know also it depends on what type of cancer and stuff too. So,
Right. Well, see, the thing about it is, because I was 29,
mhm.
they wanted to treat me aggressively.
Okay.
So that's why everything that they had to do with me was because they wanted to do it aggressively.
Right.
So yes, the sentinel came when I had cancer the third time. This first
Gotcha.
time, the sentinel thing wasn't even nowhere to be thought of
I didn't think
then.
so. Okay.
Right. So they took out, so they did the wide local excision. First of all, I had inductal carcinoma,
Hmm.
stage 2, and then and they called it infiltrating ductal carcinoma, IDC. And today they might use the word interchangeably with invasive
Yeah, I've
ductal
heard it both
carcinoma,
way.
right?
Yeah, both ways
Okay, right.
nowadays.
So that's what it was at stage 2. And the grade of my tumor grade was a 1.
Okay.
And of course, you may or may not know this, but what it is how fast
Classic growth.
your tumor grows.
Hmm.
And what it is, they're looking at the tumor cells and compare it to your healthy cells.
Right.
And so that's how they come up with if it's grade, T1, T2, T3, etc.
Right.
And another thing, while I'm thinking about it, because I said I was at stage 2, some people don't realize this. There's 5 stages to breast cancer. Some people say, well, it's stage 4. No, there is a stage 0.
Mm-hmm.
Because the second time it was a stage 0 for me, and the third time it was stage 1. But
Mm-hmm.
again, just want people to know that stages 0 to 3 are considered early breast cancer stages, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back to those core values I mentioned, that when you find this thing early, it saves lives, because you have a 99% chance of a 5-year survival if you can catch it between 0 and 3, because the
Right.
advanced stage is number 4.
Right. Did
Right.
you have a
So
family
after that,
history? Did you have a family history of cancer?
well, let me tell you that what's so strange is my father's mother passed away with breast cancer a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
And she was like 66 or whatever, around 66 years old. And then my mother's mother, she got breast cancer, but she didn't get breast cancer till after I did.
You
I
know,
got
I had
breast
to get,
cancer before my maternal grandmother got it.
wow,
And
I have another
I
guest
was
like
able to
that.
talk her through her situation and encourage her, because she got it after me. And my mother didn't get breast cancer till after me. I've been fighting breast cancer for 30 years.
Right.
This year next month will make 13 years for my mom.
Wow.
13. Right. And so what she did the genetic testing for the
Hmm.
BRCA1 and BRCA2, breast cancer 1, breast cancer 2
Hmm.
gene, that the mutant gene.
Right.
And my mom didn't have it, right?
Okay.
But when I ended up having this breast cancer the third time in 2018, I did genetic testing for a number of things, not just BRCA1 and BRCA2.
Right.
And they did that because it was my third time.
Mhm.
And, God is good. We don't have the gene anywhere. So
Wow.
that kind of, in a sense, I want to say it covers my kids, but I also got to keep in mind, cancer has no respect of persons. It doesn't
It
matter how
doesn't.
old you are, what color you are. They don't care if you're male or female, because men get breast cancer as well.
Yeah. And
Right.
also I was telling guests, I think it was about maybe a week ago or two, that I had Dr. Spina on, and we were having a conversation, and we were talking about the panels, the mutation, the genetic paneling. And there are various ones, but what people sometimes fail to realize is, like, after so many years of your diagnosis, you need to go back and have the panel done again, because it changes, because they find new mutations. She said
It
for her,
does.
she usually do about between 5 to 7 years or 10 years, depending on when they get the new panels out.
And you know what? And that makes sense, because it's been 5 years now since I had the third cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And this third time I ended up doing the 1 mastectomy. But even though I have an implant there, I still do bilateral
Mm-hmm.
mammograms. I still do 3D. Ain't no doubt about it. I also
Wow.
tell them, I'm almost telling them what to do. Oh no, you will do bilateral. You're gonna give me
Yeah.
an MRI. You're gonna do it by, a what's the one that
Ultrasound
the
or the CAT scan.
Yeah. So I can't think of it right now, but anyway, it's those three things that I have them do, regardless that I have an implant, because I need to make sure I'm taken care of. And because
Absolutely.
things hide, and like you said, every 3 to 5 years, things try to come back, and you have to be, cognizant of what's going on with your body.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can't just be like, oh, it's out now. No, can't cancer tries to come back, tries to reform, come in other places. You just got to know what your body symptoms are.
And that's true because I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they were like, that's good. You're Ned. And I was like, I'm excited and I'm believing God and I'm believing it's never going to come back. However, I'm not dumb. I make for sure that, you keep getting the tests that you need done. You keep on pushing the doctors. Like you said, you pretty much mandate, like, I need this, this, and this. And with having lower stages, sometimes it's like, oh, you don't need that, or you don't need this. And it's like, no, I do, because I'm just going off feeling and what I think versus seeing something on a screen, especially having a double mastectomy. They don't want to give you extra tests. So it's important to try to get testing done if you need it, definitely, because you don't want to go from stage 0 to no cancer to now you're stage 4, because there is a
Right.
gap somewhere in there from something being.
Right. And
Hey,
another thing I want to encourage the younger women out there, because I was 29 when I was
right.
diagnosed, right? So today, because I just had my mammogram yesterday.
Yep.
Hey, get those mammograms, it's important. But speaking with the X-ray technician there, we are learning that more and more today, women that are like under 30 years old, if they say they have these symptoms, the doctor will be like, oh, you're too young. It's not. No, you have them check it anyway, because they don't
Mm-hmm.
want to give you radiation, which is the mammograms at a certain age. No, you have to do it. And particularly like my kids, I was 29. So at the age of 19, they took off 10 years. My kids needed to start there you go, ultrasound
Mm-hmm.
and things like that at an early age, because their mother had breast cancer at
Right.
29. So both of them had to start being seen at 19. Right.
Yeah,
So
it's
they have been
important.
able to get mammograms before the age of 50.
Right.
Right.
Regardless
You
of
know,
genetics, I mean, the gene mutation. And I think that's important what you're saying, because some people think, oh, well, my family doesn't have a history or we don't have a mutation. It doesn't matter. Your mom had cancer, or it could be your dad had breast cancer. You need to go get screening from a very early age, regardless of the mutation. So you have your first breast cancer, you get the lumpectomy, you get your lymph nodes taken out, and then I guess life goes back to how did
no,
that, because now you're coming on the second one.
actually, no, it does. Life doesn't go back.
Okay.
Because then I'm trying to think about how I'm going to eat and change, the way I
Mhm.
eat. I already am a soldier, so I'm doing my physical fitness is good to go, and things of that nature. But uh, I will say this part here to probably have you smiling or laughing. My grandfather was 90 years old when he passed away.
Mhm.
So I listened to him. He told me when I said, well, Grandpa, I probably need to change the way I eat and this
Uh-huh.
and that. He said, Child, you eat what you want to eat, because you ain't going nowhere to the good Lord say you going.
I know he said that.
And he passed away at 90. But what
Oh.
happened with the second one, he I was talking about getting what happened with the second one, how that came about. Let me retract for a second. With the first one,
Mhm.
that's where most of everything occurred.
Okay.
So after I had the surgery, we was trying to figure out, do I do the chemotherapy first or
Mm.
I do radiation first?
Mhm.
Okay. So what my surgeon decided to do, they were going to treat me aggressively and they wanted me to do the radiation first.
Okay.
So when I went to go get this radiation done, I had 5,054 rads of radiation.
Wow.
I had to do it every day for 5 weeks, except Saturday and Sunday. The first day I went, I laid on this real hard table, and they marked me up with a purple marker. They
Mhm.
marked me up, and it's important that they marked me up because they didn't want the radiation to get to my lungs and things of that nature,
Mhm.
right? So just walking around knowing I'm all marked up wasn't a good feeling. Um, the radiation was so fierce that by the time they finished after 5 weeks of it, it was, it was dark because of the radiation. But again, I ain't being too graphic, but it was firm. I was like, oh, I'm like 18 years old again. Hey.
Oh, because it
Or
was
was I really a
yeah.
walking time bomb,
Oh
right?
my gosh.
But 5,054 rads of radiation. So I had that first. So it could go in and burn out whatever it could burn out of the cancer.
Hmm.
And then the next step was chemotherapy. Well, again, 29, they wanted to treat me aggressively.
Yeah.
So I had to drive to Fort Gordon from Savannah to go to the Army Eisenhower Hospital at the time. And that was always a okay drive going.
Hmm.
So going, we would go, and I'd have to sit in this chair when I got there. They drew my blood. I sat in this chair, and I had what is called a combination of Cytoxin, 5-fluorouracil, and adriamycin. Adriamycin, they call it the red devil.
Oh wow.
This
Yeah.
red devil, if not put in your veins correctly, it could could have caused me to have lymphedema,
Mm.
which was irreversible. At least that's what
Right.
they told me, right? So they call this the adriamycin a vasicate. So they always had to do a blood return. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
not a phlebotomist, so no, but they had to do a blood return to make sure this thing didn't get into my tissues.
Right.
And so they gave me anti-nausea medicine every time, and I had to go like every 3 weeks, right? And I did this for 6 different sessions. By the time, as soon as we left my treatment, I'd go straight to Kentucky Fried Chicken, which was halfway back to Savannah, because I knew the food would be good.
Right.
I kid you not. After that, the food had a metallic taste to it. Food was
Mm.
nasty. Um, on the third day, 3 days after my treatment, I'd always be tired. I would drive home from work for lunch, and like clockwork, every time my husband would have to get somebody to follow him in his truck to take me home. And I was so blessed to have Command Sergeant Major, my military leadership was really there. They gave me great support. I mean,
That's
to the
awesome.
point where when I lost my hair, they let me wear a turban, and when the military, you
Wow.
have
Yeah.
military dress regulation, right? My
Hmm.
first sergeant said, no, you can wear your turban.
That
So
is so
did.
sweet. Because yeah, y'all got some strict regulations. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they
that's
did.
impressive.
And
Um,
it really helped me out a lot. Now, what happened with that first one with the
mhm.
chemotherapy, um, I really didn't want to take the chemotherapy, quite honestly, because I knew a girl from back home who had long, pretty hair like I did, and it took her hair out.
Right.
So I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't want to lose my hair. And then my oldest child, who's 34 now, she was 4 at the time, and
Mm.
she says, Mommy, I don't want you taking that medicine. And
Oh.
then she said, I'll give you some of my hair.
Oh, that's so precious.
Was so cute. So I
Oh.
called my mom, and I
Mhm.
was like, Mom, I don't think I'm gonna take this chemotherapy. I don't want to take it. I think I might lose my hair. And she said, Don't you think Daddy would rather have a bald-headed mama than no mama at all? And I said, Okay, Mom. And then she started crying. And she's like,
Mm.
And don't you think I'd rather have a bald-headed
Oh.
daughter than looking in a casket with a dead daughter with hair? And here I go. The ones where you lose your breath.
Right.
Okay, mama, I'll take it. So bottom line is I ended up taking it. My mom made sense, and she cried, had me crying big alligator tears, but I'm glad I did. I'm sitting here talking to you today.
Yeah. Plus, you were
So
29. Like that's a lot. I mean, your hair. You got a kid. It's a lot that you were in the military. It was a lot you had to deal with. I meant to ask you, what exactly were you estrogen, progesterone driven? Was it ERPR positive, HER2 negative? What type of,
mine was her
okay,
too negative.
positive or
Mhm.
negative?
Negative.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
And
I was
so
wondering about
so
that.
yes, indeed. And so the thing about it is after that, so I got past the treatment,
Mhm.
started to lose my hair. I did lose it. You know, I I was blessed. I went to a little cosmetology school, and they gave me
Mhm.
a wig that looked like when Halle Berry first
Oh
came out,
yeah, the
the
short
little
hair.
short
Yeah.
style, the little short style. They
Uh-huh.
gave me that wig, and then I bought another wig that was long, but I should have been careful with that because if you raised up your oven door, it was gonna go and it did. But the wig they gave me was good. And it just a lot of people started giving me compliments to help me out.
Yeah.
If I wore a turban with a different color turban with my clothes, trying to coordinate, right? And my neighbor would say, "You looking cute, look at you looking all jazzy." Just different little comments. Like, it's the little things, right,
Right.
that
Right.
help you get through this journey. And then, of course, through it all, praying to the Lord, talking to God, going to church, just, holding on to my faith, because I
Right.
really do believe that when people are given that word, you have cancer, they think in their mind they're about to die,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And you have to rebuke that in the name of Jesus, because the fact of the matter is, he tells us in his word to cast our cares upon him because he
Right.
cares for us,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so one of my favorite scriptures is, 2 Timothy 1:7, that God doesn't give me the spirit of fear, but of
Mm-hmm.
power and of love and of a sound mind.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might read that as being, not being intimidated or
Right.
self-disciplined, right? And so that's one of my favorites, because I can't be walking around here fearful, because if I
Right.
do, then that negativity is just going to have that downward spiral. And I really think that's what takes people out sometimes,
Yeah.
because they're already failed. And so I feel that as long as I have Christ, Christ the solid rock I stand, then I'm victorious. And the reason I'm victorious, because he already won at the cross. So if he won at the cross, then I'm already victorious.
Yeah, and I think that's important. If you're Christian, whatever, because everybody's not Christian. So whatever your belief is,
Right.
you got to hold on to something, because
Something.
fear can creep in. We're human. It'll creep in, fear will creep in, nervousness will creep in, but trying to grab it before it gets to the point where it just totally cripples you and paralyzes
Right.
you, I think is significant.
Absolutely.
But yeah. So when did you find out about the second breast cancer that you had? How old were
Okay.
you?
Sure. The second breast cancer came, um, let me see, it came 13. It came 13, was it 1393? 13, 13 years later. 13.
Wow.
It came 13 years later in 2006. And in 2006, when it came, I went to my husband had just came back from the Iraq war, my
Okay.
current husband, and he went with me for my regular mammogram, and they said it looked suspicious at the time. And so what they found was a very, very small tumor, about 0.9 centimeters. It was
Mm-hmm.
so small that how that surgery went, they had to go in almost like a fishing hook, went
Mm-hmm.
inside this way, and they had to have both the surgeon and the radiologist together so one could guide the other to get
Mm.
this thing out. Because with that first surgery, they removed my pectoral muscle.
Mm.
So this second tumor was sitting on my chest wall. It was that small, but the mammography
Picked
caught
it
it.
up.
And so what they did, they took it out. But by the time they took it out, I had already been measured for a bridesmaid dress for my cousin's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And so the medical personnel came into my room, and they introduced me to a gentleman who was in plastic surgery school. He had
Okay.
not graduated yet. And they wanted to talk to me about taking some fat from my back and
Oh.
reconstructing my breast. I said, okay. And I said, well, I have to think about that. And I thought to myself, shoot, uh, I ain't but 41 years old. I am but 41 years old. Hey, I still wear halter tops. I still
Right.
like to show my back. So no, I don't think I'm gonna let you do that, right? But
Uh-huh.
before I did think about it. And I spoke to my grandfather again, and he said to me, he said that even with my grandmother, when she had it, had her breast cancer, it came back in the other breast, and so on and so forth. And I said something about a second opinion. He said, I don't care what doctor that they say he could be the best doctor that they say they have, but there ain't no doctor like the man upstairs. And he said, what you do is you pray about it and you listen to what the doctor
Right.
says, and you go with that. And so I tell you what, this gentleman told me that since I had already been fitted for my cousin's wedding, I could
Right.
go ahead and be in the wedding and things like that. So I did. So about a month or so went on, and he called me. So when the doctor called me, the one who had just graduated from plastic surgery, by the way, I said, no, thank you. I'm not going to have it done. He argued with me. And that's when I knew then I could be an advocate for myself. And I was like, well, looky here. You didn't tell me that it was important to get chemotherapy like I had the first time. You didn't tell me it was important to do anything anytime soon. So I'm telling you right now, I'm not doing it. I'm not letting you cut no fat from my back. And I didn't. And guess what? I was declared cancer free in 2013, because they say after about 10 years and there's no recurrence or whatever, then you consider cancer free, right? And so I'm walking around thinking I'm cancer free after I was told that, and so on and so forth. And then I went on with life, got remarried and everything. God is good, life is good. And then in 2018,
So
I
that
was
was the
told that I
third
had
time,
cancer again,
2018.
3 times.
So in 2013, which cancer was it, on the same side in the chest wall?
Yes, all of us. See, the cancer came in 1993,
Right.
2006,
Yeah.
and then in 2018. 2013 is when they told me I was cancer free.
Gotcha. So when every time that the cancer came back, you said it was on the same exact side as the very first time, or did it? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so
it was the same breast. Now, I would tell you this, that the third time, I don't really count that as a recurrence.
Okay.
I think the third time was a new cancer. And so what I did, I'm part of Sisters Network.
Right.
And the doctor that advises Sisters Network, I knew her. So once again, I just contacted her and I told her what happened and what was she just, I told her I wanted a second opinion. So I went from one hospital in Michigan to Henry Health, Henry Ford Health Systems in Detroit, where she worked at, right? So I went there, got the second opinion, and then when they started talking to me about mastectomy and things like that, I listened. Okay. But the first doctor wanted me to get these expanders. So I did some research on the expanders, and I did go to his appointment. And while I was in the waiting room, I started looking at on their display about these expanders and how it works and how many times I have to go back and this and that. I'm like, I am way too busy for that. I am not fooling with no expanders. So I went back to Henry Ford and asked for their plastic surgeon. And that's where I decided I would go with the implants. And I said, I want everything done the same day. I said, I want you to come on in here, go on and take this breast on out. But when you roll me back here with 2, you make sure you roll me back out with 2. Don't roll me back out of here with 1.
You went to a direct
so you
exchange.
Go on and take it out.
Yeah.
And then the next person came and she did the implants. So I went in with 2 and came out with 2.
Yeah, because some of us can't get that. We have to go get the expanders first, and then I think it depends. Well, sometimes it depends on the doctor, as you know, and then sometimes it depends on the absolute, the case. But yeah, I remember you telling me that you were like, yeah, I want it to come out like I left how I came in. I want to come out. I remember you telling me that when I think we were at church or somewhere. But so the second cancer, was that the DCIS or was that the third one?
Yes, the DCIS was the second one, because that one was 0.9 centimeters and it was stage 0.
And it was in the duct, obviously.
Yeah. And so that's why, again, I say to that guy, no, I wasn't gonna let him do a reconstruction on a stage 0 breast cancer tumor. I just wasn't. And the first breast cancer was in the upper outer quadrant, right, under of my breast. And so therefore that's why they had to do that wide local excision to take the 28 lymph nodes out. With the third breast cancer, before they gave me the anesthesia, I said, why don't you just take both of them off? But
Right.
what happened was I should have asked for that before the day of. So she came back and said, well, we can do that, but we'll have to put off the surgery to another day. And I
Mm,
said to myself, no, I'm already here. We won't take this out. And
right.
so what happened was, just like the feeling I had laying on that hard table for the radiation,
Hmm.
I had to go inside some kind of machine this third time so they could check for the sentinel
Right.
lymph nodes,
Oh, that's
right?
how they
It
had to
was
do it this
different.
time. Oh, yeah, that is.
Yeah. And so they had laid some I want to say it was mercury. Something they laid on me so that they could, I guess they could see the lymph nodes a little bit better. I'm not sure with this new technology on the sentinel thing, but whatever they did,
Wow.
I laid on that table for about 45 minutes before they even took me up for the actual surgery.
And
I I I, I doubt when I
I've heard some people say that, like they get something done, it's sentinel, but it's like it's like they go one place first and then they get the surgery second. Because I know with me, they just injected me and then eventually I went in the OR. I don't know what they did from there with me.
they
But
injected me.
yeah,
They injected me, put me through a machine like when you do your MRI,
yeah.
put me through this machine, and then for some reason I guess they couldn't see lymph nodes, and maybe, who knows, just maybe because 28 of them was removed
Yeah.
30 years ago. I mean, I don't know, but I laid in there for like 45 minutes, then they finally took me to surgery. And my husband said
Got
I
me
was in surgery
wondering
for
now,
five
like,
hours.
do they do that? Because after they did the injection, I went, they wheeled me back somewhere. I'm assuming surgery, but now you got me thinking, did I stop to radiology first and then go to the OR? That's interesting.
You you may have I mean, I guess every hospital just
Yeah,
things different, but
that's
I
interesting.
was able to be wide awake and aware
Mm,
of them checking for the sentinel,
yeah,
lymph nodes, right? And then after that, they wheeled me on back into the operating room. And like I said, my husband said I was in surgery for like 5 hours, because I think it was
right,
3 hours to remove the breast, and
right.
then additional 2
For
to
the
put the
plasma.
implant in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How did you feel about the Sentinel when you had it done? Did it hurt you at all? The injection,
Yes, it was rather warm.
it pinched me.
Yeah.
It felt like a whole bunch of little bee stings.
Yeah,
I
like
was just
little
wondering.
like almost like a cactus type things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so that was number 3, and that was 2018, you said, right?
18,
Okay.
2018.
Okay. And so did you have to go through chemo or radiation after that one or anything?
No, the thing is, because of that first time they treated me so aggressively,
Hmm.
I remember I said I had 5,054 rads of radiation.
Right.
They had given my body, I guess, the max. So even with the second and third time, I couldn't have radiation again,
What about tamoxifen
right?
or anything? Well, you had
They
her too. So
And then also, the third time, okay, I just told you that I had, see, I'm getting older. My mind went
no,
somewhere
I
else.
mean, plus it's been a while ago.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I would say, oh yeah, I know what I was saying. They wouldn't give me the radiation because
Mhm.
I already had too much. Chemotherapy was, I had really had the max for that. I didn't need chemotherapy. The second time, see, it was only 0.9 centimeters. So
Right.
technically, they had gotten out
Hmm.
whatever cancer was going to be there, right?
Right.
And then this third time, uh, they couldn't find the sentinel lymph nodes. And when my report came back, they couldn't find anything in the surrounding tissue. They checked
Oh.
absolutely everything that they sent back to the lab. And
Did they say
so
what
it
type of
said,
cancer that was though? The third time?
"Mhm." It was
Oh,
infiltrating ductal carcinoma, stage 1. So I
okay.
had stage 2 first time, stage
Right.
0 the second time, and stage 1 the last time. So that adds up to what, 3?
Yeah, that's 3.
Yeah. And so, and then and then
That is
I was
3.
diagnosed the third month in March, shortly a little bit before my birthday.
Wow.
And then another thing about the number 3. I said, okay, my surgery was on July the 3rd. And
Wow.
I said, okay, devil, you a liar. I got the Father, Son, and the
And the
Holy
Holy
Spirit.
Ghost.
1, 2, 3 strikes you out. And when you're boxing, right? We got the pink gloves on. 1, 2, 3, boom, TKO. Get out of here. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, girl. Yeah, you have been through something. Goodness gracious. Wow.
I mean, it's like the enemy looked to my
Yeah,
future and was like, I need to try to take her out.
yeah,
But not only did he try to take me out that second time, he tried to take my baby too. I was
really.
pregnant, and
Oh,
I had to get a lump removed when I was 6 months pregnant with my second daughter.
so that
Yep,
lump wasn't cancerous. It
it
was
was not. Mm-mm.
okay, but it was in your breast. It was in your chest.
But yes, it was. It was, and they had to remove it, and it was benign. So I said, "Oh yeah, he really trying to take me out, try to take out my baby too, liar."
Wow,
So
girl. Woo. So you went through all of that. So after that third time, how did you recuperate? Like how mentally, where were you with all of this?
well, um, with
I
it
know your faith
all,
is strong, but I mean, did you have
yeah,
any moments where
yeah, I would say I've had my moments.
mhm,
Even today, after having it 3 times, and it's been since 2018, I still have my moments. And it goes
mhm,
back to the name of your podcast. I think about my scars. When I lay down a certain way, the implant moves a certain way, and I'm thinking, wow, and my husband encourages me as well. And he says, don't worry about it. You know, I love you. You still the same person. And he
oh,
said, and all your scars just means you're a warrior.
yeah, definitely,
Yeah, you're a warrior. So
definitely.
so my scars do speak, but I'm human, like you said, and I have my moments. But
Yeah,
then, but then I know, like my daughter is a gospel artist. She has a song called "Pull from Victory." I pull from the
right,
inside, right? I
right.
pull from the inside, and I remember that Paul said he has a thorn. Well, that
Mhm,
thorn is me remembering every
mhm,
step of the way that the Lord has brought me through the storms in
absolutely,
my life. And this breast cancer
absolutely.
thing has definitely been one that has tried to get me. And after that third time, I'm like, enough is enough. Let me just go and do the TKO.
Right.
So
So when you were talking about like even today, because today you had your mammogram, correct? Do
each day,
you, I mean, do you sometimes have like a little anxiety before you get any test or anything, or you're pretty much okay?
no,
I know you pray and stuff.
no,
God knows I know you pray.
no,
I was
I'm
just
okay
wondering.
when I go. But one thing I will tell you about yesterday
Hmm.
that was different for me from all the times I've had a mammogram. I've never been in much pain or anything with mammograms because I can tolerate pain.
Uh-huh.
But yesterday, twice when she did the left breast, which is the one with the implant, I was in some pain. And I was like, Lord, I've never had this before.
Hmm.
So it does make your mind wonder,
Hmm.
right? I don't know what the results are now, but I don't believe they'll come back and say breast cancer.
Right, 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 right.
I just don't. But I do, but I will, I may have to contact the doctor who placed the implant in me to
Hmm.
see, how often, should it be replaced after an
Well,
X number of years,
it was,
things of that nature.
what year was it again? 2008,
18. So it's
18.
been about 5 years now.
Usually they say the shelf life is about 10 years.
I thought
But
so.
of course, got to use wisdom and let them know if you're having any problems. So,
Absolutely. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So, I guess that leads us up because you've been very detailed about what happened, and that was good. I really, yeah, because just listening to everything that happened to you in the 90s up until now, you can hear how medicine has changed.
Difference. Right.
It's
The difference.
literally
Mhm.
changed because I'm listening to what they did to you. I'm like, wait a minute, they ain't aspirate nothing off me. And I know some other people they just go for the biopsies. But um, so now, what is life like for you now?
Life now, life is good for me. I mean, I'm here. I believe each day I wake up with new grace and mercies that I have purpose. Each day is a new opportunity to do better. I asked the Lord, after that third time with breast cancer, I was like, okay, Lord, I'm the oldest of my parents, children, and
Right.
all my siblings had kids or grandkids. And I'm like, okay, now Lord, can I be somebody's nana before you bring me home? And so, literally 8 days after I said this to the Lord and gave him my petition, my youngest daughter called and said, well,
Aw.
Mom, I don't know how I was going to tell you this, but I'm pregnant. I said,
Aw.
okay, God, I didn't know you were going to answer that quick. But I'm blessed. I have two grandsons. I have two daughters, and I have a stepson, and I
Uh-huh.
have a wonderful husband. So I have great
Yes, your
support.
husband's so sweet.
I still have both my parents who pray for me, and we laugh
Yeah.
and joke together, and my siblings and nieces and a host of aunts and nieces and nephews and uncles. So I can't complain. We in life happens,
Right.
and that's at work and at home, professional
Mhm.
and personally. And we just have to take things as they come and deal with them,
Right.
appropriately. And the one thing I like what you said is use wisdom about it. That's
Mhm.
something that I've been able to gain over the years, especially
Mhm.
having gone through some of the storms I've been through, to use wisdom.
Yeah. So with that being said, I know you're involved in a lot of things, a lot of organizations. I know you have you're a co-founder of an organization. So I guess let's stop here and talk about maybe some of the things that you may have coming up, as far as any events or anything that's going on in your organization, anything you want to share about any of that. And then also where people could find you or your organizations.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Sure.
Yeah.
So with Evelyn Ancrum Education Support Systems Inc., and we call it EAESSI. The next thing that we have for EAESSI coming up is Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday, and I have to check the date, is typically the last Tuesday of November or the first Tuesday in December. And that is a fundraiser, an organization that matches your donations. That would be great. And what we do is we offer scholarships. We award scholarships to graduating high school seniors. Our scholarship window opens every year from January through March. Throughout the year, we have different events where we do health awareness management. What that means is, and you participated in one of those, as a matter of fact, we talk about ways to, preventive health measures. Like we saying here, get screened when it comes to breast cancer.
Right.
For when it comes to men's health, make sure that you go get your test for prostate cancer and things of that nature. So we do health management awareness as well. And then so the next thing is, as a guest speaker for not just EAESSI, but I have my own business called Tonja Ancrum LLC. And basically what that is I'm an author. So it talks about the books that I'm writing. They'll be posted as they are published, as well as people have asked me to be a guest speaker. So on October the 14th, I'll be a guest speaker at a Zumba event at LA Fitness in Woodbridge,
Oh,
Virginia.
wow.
And I'll be able to talk about not only breast cancer prevention, but also I will share information on endometrial cancer as well,
Mhm.
because it negatively impacts the African American community as well. So I'll
Right.
be a guest speaker there. Also, I wanted to share information about my book, if that's
Yeah,
all right. Information about
absolutely.
my book. So the first book is called Maneuvering Through the Storms of Life,
Very
a
good
breast
book. Very
cancer's
good book. I own a
survivor's
copy.
journey and faith walk. And so that, and I'll tell you a little bit about that stop sign a little bit later. But this book
Mhm.
can be found on Amazon. And how do you get that on Amazon? It would be bit.ly/TONJABOOK1. bit.ly/Tanja Book One will take you straight to Amazon to the book. The second book that I've done, it is a journal,
Mm.
and it's a participant guide, and it accompanies the first book. But this book can be used alone because it also is a journal where you can journal reflections, your reflections of the personal reflections, as a matter of fact. And it also allows one to dive deeper into God's word, and it relates back to the book as well. And for this
Nice.
one, You can also find it on Amazon, and how you find it, and I have to tell you what it is. It is amzn.to/3, the lowercase s, capital Y, number 1, capital U, lowercase o, and capital T. That will take you straight to the guide on Amazon. Now, if a person wants an autograph book from me and get some encouraging words from Tonja, then you can just go to www.tonjaancrum.com. That's TONJAANCRUM.com. And then also the last thing I want to say is, if you go to this next link, you can get a free gift from Tonja. And how do you get that free gift? You go to https:// which is : / and it's Tonja, TONJA.AWEB.PAGE/ and participant guide, all one word, put both words together, participant guide. And there, if you go there, you can get a free gift if you sign up there.
Oh,
So
that's
those
so
are some of the
sweet.
things that I've been doing with Tonja and EAESSI, Evelyn Ancrum Education Support Systems, Inc.
So with the nonprofit EAESSI, don't you all also do something like with breast cancer? So like if people are having difficulties, I don't know if you do this or not. So isn't it something like far as they having difficulties as far as getting testing and stuff like that done?
Absolutely, absolutely. We, like I said, we offer scholarships every year. We do health awareness management. And for those individuals who do not have insurance, or they may have insurance and underinsured, what does that mean? If you don't have insurance, we will help get you a mammogram. If you're underinsured and say you need a 3D mammogram or additional diagnostic testing, because your insurance will only pay for your typical traditional, your 2D mammogram, we will help offset the cost to ensure that you get the 3D or the diagnostic testing.
Yeah, that's real important. I want to make sure you had definitely elaborated on that, because you even offered that to me, and that meant the world to me. And even though I had TRICARE, you were like, look, if you run into any problems, get back to me if they won't give you a 3D, because you specify, like you were beating that in my head, get a 3D mammogram. So yeah, you all have been a true blessing in my life. So I had to have you to come up here and tell like your story and just share this information, because there's so many people who they're being denied mammograms, or either, like you said, they're not being given the 3D. And so knowing about organizations like yourself, that means the world, because they're able to possibly, get some assistance with that. And so as the
Absolutely.
scholarship, you said, okay, the scholarship is for students, right? Now, do they have to be from a parent who's had cancer, or just any child?
We are we love to give back. EAESSI came about, my husband's mother. She didn't have breast cancer, but she did pass away with cancer.
Mhm.
But she also was an educator. She was a retired school teacher of over 35 years. We are both from single parent homes. We are both
Mhm.
retired military, and we are both educated. And so
Mhm.
we decided we wanted to give something back in her honor. So for her namesake, we have started this EAESSI nonprofit. And so therefore, that's why it came about. We initially thought, well, it'd be for low income
Mhm.
individuals, but we just say, hey, if you do what you're supposed to do, follow the instructions, because I am a former professor at Webster University. And so I want these kids to know, when you go to college, hey, if I say that the scholarship application ends at 11:59, and it closes at 11:59. If you really want the scholarship money, and every parent knows every dollar counts. I have two
Yeah.
college graduates. So
Yes,
every
ma'am.
dollar counts. So the thing is, if you really want something, you will submit the applications on time. You will respond, and you will write the best essay that you can write. We're
Mhm.
not asking for high school transcripts. We want a letter, an acceptance letter from a college. We want references from either 2 from your high school, or 1 from your high school and 1 from your job, or where you possibly are volunteering at. And we will let everyone know who is the winner of a scholarship at the end of April, early May.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So, Miss Tonja, did you have anything else that you want to share though, as far as like anything else that's going on that you want to share with anybody?
Well, I'm excited to say that this year I am one of the faces of hope for
That's
the
right.
American Cancer Society Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk. So I'm just really elated about that. I was nominated, and
Mhm.
now I'm one of the faces of hope, right? And holding on to hope means a lot. So I think it really helps people not give up. So I'm hoping, and I will continue to help be one of those people to help find a cure to
Mhm.
always help the American Cancer Society in the best way that I can. And I just thank you for the opportunity to be one of the faces of hope and to share my story. And hopefully
Yes.
someone will be blessed by it.
Yeah. Oh, I know they will be. That is awesome. So now we have come to the point of what was the name of your song? Who is it by? And why did you choose it? The one
Well,
with
the name of
your
my
reel.
song, okay, the name of my song. Now, I think I sent you the name of the song, but I know it relates to Psalm 27, 1 and 2.
Mhm.
And it's talking about God being the light of my salvation. Whom shall I fear, or whom shall I be afraid? And one of the reasons why, well, the reason why I chose it is because the Lord is the light of my
Mhm.
salvation. Light always will overcome darkness. And when you're thinking of, oh my God, I have breast cancer, or oh my God, I'm going through a divorce, or oh my God, whatever storm that one might be in, or you have a troubled child, or whatever the case may be, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Who or what shall I fear? Because he told me he would not leave me. In the Bible, it says he would never leave me nor
Right.
forsake me, and he's with me always to the end of the age. I also know that when it's raining outside and it seems like life is a little slippery, what you do is you keep on moving.
Mhm.
Because if you let yourself sit in the storm, that's when things get rough and tough, and your person might just slip away. But if you keep on moving, there's light at the end of the tunnel. At the end of the rain, the sun is always shining. So the Lord is my light of my salvation. Who or what, meaning cancer, anything else that you can put in the what, whom or what shall I be afraid? No
Yes,
one.
that was one of my favorite songs. It's about William Murphy. I think it was,
Absolutely.
wasn't it Everything or something like that?
I think it's everything God or enduring God
Yeah,
or
I think
something
it was
like that.
Everything God. But yeah, William Murphy, he's one of my favorite gospel artists. So when I seen it, I was
Mhm.
like, oh, I know exactly who she's talking about. Uh, so now, would you share with everyone a word, one word to kind of like just help someone think about or ponder on as they're moving through with looking at their scars that could be old, that's still really affecting them, or that maybe they just got a new wound, and maybe this word could kind of encourage them to, even though it's a fresh wound or it's an old scar, you still need some encouragement and to help them get through what they're getting through, we're going through. Can you leave them with a word and why you chose that word?
I can, and I'm gonna have to be honest with you. I added one more word to it, and you'll see how it ties into it. But
Okay.
the word that I have is trust, and I want people to trust that that when I say trust, you got to trust those caregivers, your support system, right?
Mm-hmm.
In my book, I talk about the support system, and ultimately, like for me, everybody might not be a believer, but for me, the ultimate trust system and my support system is Jesus Christ. But we have to have that person here on earth. Like everybody has to have a Samuel. Like Samuel anointed David with oil, and so everybody has to have a Samuel, right?
That's
So
right.
that caregiver, that husband, that the person like myself, a mentor, that you can reach out to for some encouraging and inspiring words. You got to be able to trust some people. Trust that you will come out of the situation. If you got some scars now and you're going through some things, whether it's mental or physical, trust that you're going to come out of it. Because as long as you don't trust that you're going to come out of it, you're going to start dwindling down and things are going to get rough and tough if you don't have some trust. And then I want you to just keep moving and not stay where you are. Trust that God or someone, someone else that or someone else that you can trust and confide in, but trust that that person or God will pull you out of that situation. Now I want to add a caveat to trust. And that's where I told you I'll talk about that stop sign on my book. Stop. Sometimes we have to come to that stop sign. We know that it's shaped like an octagon, and an
Mhm.
octagon has 8 parts to it. And most of us may or may not know, but 8 means new beginnings. So when you get to that stop sign, you look at the red of it is like the blood of Jesus Christ, because we overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. And then when you look at the white word stop, white is the purity of Jesus Christ, right? And so let me tell you what each word, each letter means. S means to seek God. The Bible tells us that I sought the Lord and he heard me and he delivered me from all my fears. That's seeking God. The T is going back to what I just told you. We have to trust God, trust that he's going to bring us through and take us out. Like David said, hey, the Lord took, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, he's not going to leave you there. And it's not meant for a person to stay and waddle in mud like a pig. You got to believe that you're going to come out of the situation. So trust and faith kind of go together. And then that O means obedient. Once you hear what thus says the Lord, or you feel it in your heart, then you obey it. That means if you're at a decision-making process and you're kind of struggling with, do I go left, do I go right? And you're struggling with it and you're not really sure, then don't go left if you're struggling with going left. But if you are at peace at that thing, and you have a peace about the decision that you make, then go with it. Be obedient. And that P, last and foremost, is always pray. So trust, and sometimes you just got to come to that stop sign. And don't look in the rearview mirror because your past is behind you. Don't look in the rearview mirror. Look at the stop sign and know once you pass that stop sign that you are going on to new beginnings. When I wake up each morning, it's a new day, a new opportunity, grace and mercies. And so trust and stop sometime.
Wow, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful. Well, what do you say to someone who is so strong? But I do want to leave you. You are definitely, when I think of you, like I told you, your mentor. You've been my mentor in this whole situation from the beginning, before I was even diagnosed. You listened to me, and I think that's one of your greatest qualities. Like, you listen and you help people try to find answers. With that, yet again, you are who you are. You are definitely a soldier. You're a soldier, not only in the natural sense of it, but in the spiritual sense as well. And with that, you have such great leadership. And I just encourage you to continue to lead, even when people may think something different about your leadership or what have you. Just pay them no attention. Continue to lead and do as God has called and purposed for your life, because you and your husband are such givers, not just givers of finances and resources, but givers of your time. And a lot of people take that for granted, but time is something we can't get back. So I just encourage you to continue to give, which I know you will, and continue to, because you're walking by faith. So you're listening, you're trusting God, and you're doing as he tells you to do. And just know that he has a lamp upon your feet, and anything you touch and anything that you even think of is blessed. So just continue to walk in that spirit that he has upon you and your family. And I just thank you so much for taking the time out to even come up here tonight to share how your scars have spoken to you, as well as a multitude of people, me being included, and tonight some other people, and maybe even, I know, even more people as days and years go by. But I just thank you so much, Tonja, so much for everything that you've done.
To God be the glory. Every time someone tells me something like that, I don't be like, oh, you're welcome, and take all the credit. I can't.
I know.
Like on the back of my book, I always point up,
Yeah.
to him be the glory. And so
Yep.
I'm glad, I'm so grateful that he used me as a vessel to impact others.
The beauty of that, I always know that is, definitely to him be the glory, because if without him, there is no us. But you don't have to be obedient. So I thank you for your obedience, because some people hear and they don't go, or either he has to stop them to make them go. So I thank you so much that you don't sacrifice, you listen and you do it. Sometimes you might have to stop and, think about it a little bit or whatever, and be like, okay, guys, that really you. But I thank you for that. I thank you for that piece. Ultimately, I know where your assignment comes from for sure, but you don't have to listen to it. You could totally ignore it. And I just thank you for being that example to all of us for allowing him to shine through you 100%.
Amen. I thank you again for the opportunity to share my story. And
Yeah.
and I pray, like I always do, that if I can just touch one life that, who was, discouraged about getting a mammogram, that they will
Yes.
now go and
Yes.
do that thing, do it for themselves, do it for their family, because really self-care is not being selfish. It's just like
Mm-mm.
on the airplane when they tell you, hey, put the oxygen mask over yourself first, then you can help someone. Go
Mhm.
out there, just like it says, early detection saves lives.
It
Get
does.
screened. Don't
It
wait another
does.
day. Mhm.
And don't forget to send me the links and I will post them so that people can see them. And then if they want to go to any of them, they can. So we have that out there for them.
Sure. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Well, that is another episode on Our Scars Speak. And remember that our scars speak a story. Our mental and physical scars speak a story that can heal the wounds of another. When you're supposed to tell your story, I have no idea, but I pray that you really will seek when you're supposed to share, because someone's life may really depend on it. So remember that. Remember that our scars speak, and don't be afraid to share. All right, everyone, have a great night. See you next week. Bye.